Ah, great. That's great. Streaming this early in the morning. Very cool. Yeah. Then, a second. Let's just see this. I just have to alert people for what I'm doing. Actually, no. Let's discard that. There we go. Maybe I copy and paste this. Here we go. Well then. This is kind of interesting. Feeling this. Oh. Well, it's rare. Yeah, but just let's wait and wait and wait. Alright, let's see what they have in there. Alright, I guess we're gonna have to wait a lot of minutes for that shit. Hold on. I'm just playing some solitary, that's all. Okay. Looks like I won the battle. Yeah. Sort of, actually. Shall we? Well then, what can we find? Oh yeah, we can find like ecologically. Where can I? Oh, we can. Okay, we can actually do this. Ah, damn it. Well, here we are. I'm pretty sure this is copyright free. I mean, not the video, the Monster Hunter thing itself. It's the footage. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Oh, the Devil Jaw. Oh
Speedily
shit!
destroying
I
its
forgot.
balance through
I'm
continuous feeding.
muted.
A Deviljho is essentially just a giant tube of muscles, all of which need
Oh
a
yeah.
gargantuan intake of calories to maintain themselves. This hunger propels the Deviljho into bouts of tremendous violence. when its
And
fury
it will
reaches its
become-
zenith.
Yep.
Its metabolism does too, flushing its muscles with so much energy that they swell in size, ripping open old battle wounds and even the beast's very skin. As the Deviljho primarily uses its maw and thick tail to attack, both ends are adorned with regenerating spikes. The spikes on the chin are partially supplemented by old teeth that are pushed out of the mouth by newer ones. Said mouth also holds glands that produce a highly corrosive saliva, able to eat through even solid steel armor. The Deviljho is specifically an anomaly due to its innate ability to use the dragon element. This highly destructive energy nullifies all known elements such as fire and electricity, and was believed to be exclusive to elder dragons. However, discoveries such as the Deviljho have revealed that very rarely non-elder dragon monsters can utilize this highly dangerous kind of energy. The Deviljho uses it mostly in the form of sweeping breath attacks that annihilate all that they touch, which, combined with the wyvern's already formidable strength, makes any Deviljho encounter a waking nightmare to deal with. The second infraorder of brute wyverns is that of the hammer wyvern. These wyvern are defined by having long, horizontal bodies that are held up by two strong hind legs like general theropods, but with a particularly well-developed,
True.
thick, muscular tail. The legs of hammer wyverns sit approximately in the middle of the hammer wyvern's total length. They tend to use this body plan for one of the most fascinating methods of traversal ever observed. By rolling their bodies into a wheel, hammer wyvern can move around by rolling, which allows them to traverse tricky terrain at surprising speeds. Hammer wyvern also possess a unique digestive modification that allows them to extract nutrients from various unusual sources. To aid in this, they often have small pores on their underside that allow them to vent out the gases produced during the digestion process. They also often grow massive ossified chin plates on
No.
Albion Online.
Shit. Oops. Wrong thing. And I don't. Wait. I thought I got rid of this. There we go, there we go.
face, which allows them to smash targets with it. That is the origin of the title Hammer Wyvern. While it isn't
the
clear
Chubby
if
Chin
that is a
dinosaurs.
defining feature of the entire group, all as of yet discovered hammer wyvern nest and sleep on top of a bed made of tar-like substances like slime or actual grave tar, and they are highly attracted towards areas where such substances occur naturally. The most well-known hammer wyvern is the Uragan, native to most volcanic areas charted by the guild. This golden brown brute wyvern is covered head to toe in solid, tough armor that makes the Uragan slower at rolling, but much more deadly on impact. It exclusively feeds on rocks, and has a unique mechanism to enhance their digestion. By covering its underside in the tar it sleeps on, it can stick rocks to itself. These rocks heat up through the friction that is produced when the Uragan rolls around, so that once the wyvern decides to swallow them, its insides don't have to waste as much energy to melt and deconstruct the rocks during digestion. While the rocks are attached, they can also be thrown as a last defensive measure. Older individuals can even use the friction of their rolling and the heat of their rocks to temporarily set themselves on fire, turning themselves into a flaming wheel of destruction. The Uragan has the hammer wyvern's characteristic gas vents on the underside of its body, and is able to expel both fire and sleep gas, using them strategically against enemies. While the Uragan is widespread and well known, its closest relative, the Radoban, is fairly elusive, as it is entirely unique to just a single valley region of the New World continent. It only lives in the Rotten Vale, and is hyper-adapted to it. It does not produce any flaming gases, and only expulses knockout vapors to defend itself and pacify the eager adversaries that prowl this graveyard. The Radoban does also not grow any thick armor plating, making it much faster and more nimble at rolling than the Uragan. This is vital for the hectic and shaky terrain of the Vale. This does, however, leave the Radoban vulnerable, as its exposed hide is fairly soft. To circumvent this weakness, the Radoban found a solution only possible in the Vale. They primarily eat bones, sucking the marrow out of them and crunching out the calcium. They scavenge by collecting bones and gathering them in massive piles, where both juicy fresh bones and exhausted old ones lie together. When a Radoban is about to lay eggs, it will dig underneath the bone piles and into the muddy tar beneath. When the younglings hatch, they will have to burrow through the sticky tar characteristic of hammer wyvern nests. This tar will stick to the soft, specialized skins of the younglings and will, in the process, be permanently bound to it. Once they emerge from the ground, the younglings find themselves under the bone piles. By digging through the bones while covered in that sticky tar, the Radoban covers itself in hard, overlapping bones which stick to the tar immediately. This armor is then further optimized and built upon through careful grooming throughout the wyvern's life cycle. Thanks to this trick, the Radoban retains its maneuverability while boasting a replenishable, customizable suit of armor. The final agreed upon infra-order that includes brute wyverns is called plate wyvern.
Oh, plate wyverns.
While many monsters grow thick skin structures that are sometimes colloquially called plates, plate wyvern are defined by the growth of a specific type of tissue, harder than almost any other naturally observed material. This plate tissue can grow at various spots on the body. Additionally, plate wyverns grow hardened cranial structures, either horns or large skull ornaments that facilitate head-on collisions and threat displays. The plate wyverns are separated into superfamilies based on where on their body they grow the characteristic plate tissue. The tail plate wyverns grow it on their tails, and the only known members of this group are the various species of Duramboros. They are considered to be the largest brute wyvern, hulking mountains of hard shelling and muscle. Their massive horns serve as a threat display, but their true strength lies in the tail. The massive, rounded tail tip is adorned with the characteristic plate shell and can crush anything it is swung towards. Duramboros are herbivores that prefer feeding on trees, which they fell using their tails to then eat them once they're laid out flat on the ground. The tail tip is in fact so hard that in order to effectively carve it for hunting and blacksmithing purposes, they have to first be softened and tenderized with pickaxes. On its back, the Duramboros grows two large humps, which store fat and nutrients for emergencies, be it a particularly fierce fight or just the woes of winter. The forest species additionally grows moss and plants on its shell to serve as shock absorbers for incoming attacks, making the forest Duramboros a walking fortress. The desert species, the rust Duramboros, meanwhile, is mostly covered in sand and mud and is also much larger and much sturdier, thus not necessarily needing these shock absorbers. Despite being herbivores, the Duramboros is highly aggressive and considered a serious threat, especially the males, which are predominantly found in the misty peaks near Yukumo. Meanwhile, the members of the superfamily hornplate wyvern grow their plate tissue on their heads, reinforcing cranial structures such as horns, antlers, all ram skulls. This superfamily is special in that it includes both one of the largest as well as the smallest brute wyvern. The Banbaro is a massive wyvern that is entirely endemic to the New World, where it roams various environments in search of food. It is, however, a native of the Hoarfrost Reach. Its plate tissue is grown into two massive antlers, which can be used to bulldoze entire forests and level areas with ease. Getting hit by a charging Banbaro means certain death generally.
Yeah. Well,
The long,
yeah.
fluffy tail works in tandem with the enormous antlers to balance the Bambaro's mass. While it has never been weighed, it is estimated that a fully grown Banbaro might be the heaviest brute wyvern, or at the very least tied with the Ras Duramboros. Bambaro are generally pretty docile, but will retaliate when provoked. Docile is, however, not an apt description for the Bambaro's closest relatives, the Kestodon and Gastodon.
The small brute wyverns.
These two
which
species are the
herbivores.
outliers of the brute wyverns due to a few distinct characteristics. For one, they are the smallest brute wyverns ever discovered, growing to
No
just
wonder why
about
the
the size
fandoms
of
say
small
that
horses,
they're related to the
and thus
Bambaros.
being significantly smaller than all other brute wyverns. They also live in large family structures that include the males, which is atypical for brute wyverns, which usually have female herds and lone wolf males. The Kestodon generally inhabit arid areas of both the New and Old Worlds. The males protect the females with the unique skull shields, which allow them to bash into enemies. The male Kestodon also use this feature to fight each other for dominance over the herd. The Gastodon, meanwhile, only live in the Elder's recess of the New World, and form small family groups with no clear hierarchy. Their plate
True.
tissue forms into a unique structure that includes fused, curved horns on either side of a massive mane of thick dark fur that covers a hard skull plate. While the mane may look fluffy, the hard plate in the center is extremely tough on impact. When enraged, Gastodon can flood their skulls with blood and stimulate bioluminescent cells in their plate tissue, causing their mane to glow as a threat display and warning. The final four brute wyvern species have no described infraorders as of right now. The Anjanath is a pink and fairly slender brute wyvern that patrols forests and deserts alike. While it looks, and is, ferocious, much of its body is dedicated to elaborate threat displays. It can extend two massive sails from its hips. Its tail can be bushed up with quills, and its nose can be crowned by a fleshy external canal, erected by blood flow. These displays serve the Anjanath's main goal: to conquer and maintain as large a territory as possible. Territory size and quality is the determining factor in sexual selection for Anjanath, and only the males with the largest, most orderly territory will impress the nomadic females enough to be able to mate. That is not to say that the Anjanath is all bark and no bite, however. That extended nose canal is excellent at tracking prey, and its massive jaws are powerful enough to pulverize bone and shell armor alike. In a pinch, the pink Anjanath can stimulate the fire sac in its throat to breathe destructive flames either through its nostrils or its maw, while the Fulgur Anjanath that lives in icy regions can charge itself and its sails up with thunder element. The Glavenus is a unique brute wyvern that grows a massive, blade-like tail for threat display and attack purposes.
Yeah.
This tail is coated with special ore, which, as the tail is scraped back and forth on the ground, heats up and turns the tail edge into a burning blade that can cut and melt through most known materials. The heat eventually warps the ore though, causing the tail blade to go dull. To counteract this, the Glavenus has specialized external teeth on its face that can bite into the tail and sharpen it by scraping off excess ore material off of it. The tail is then once again sharp as ever, and the Glavenus swallows the scraped off materials and stores it in its flame bursa, an organ that melts the ore into magma chunks that the Glavenus can then spit for additional firepower. While Glavenus have been sighted in numerous habitats, each region has its own type of Glavenus determined by which ores are actually available in the region to be coated on the tail. The Glavenus of the Jurassic frontier, where the species is believed to have originated from, tend to have the toughest tails due to the unique ore that is only found on that island.
Well, yeah.
This variability has also resulted in the emergence of at least one true subspecies besides the commonly known island species. The first brute wyvern to ever be discovered and classified was the Baroth, found in arid regions all across the world. It is easily identified through its thick brown and orange armor and characteristic head growth. This massive structure is called a Baroth crown and is directly connected to the wyvern's airways. This bizarre adaptation has one specific purpose: to allow the Baroth to remain submerged in mud for as long and as easily as possible while breathing through its crown, which has the nostrils at the top.
Whoa!
Oh, fuck you, fuck you.
The
There we
Baroth,
go.
while exclusively living in hot climates, actually rather dislikes the heat, and thus prefers either covering itself in mud or simply sitting in the cool mud whenever possible. It also does this for feeding purposes. Baroths exclusively eat insects and bugs, many of which congregate within the mud and mud flats to nest and mate. So thanks to this crown, the Baroth can uninterruptedly snack on bugs and stay cool without much effort. Due to the bony and cumbersome nature of the crown, nearly no predators actually bother with hunting Baroth, as the effort of breaking through this tough and oddly shaped armor would outweigh the nutritional gain from the wyvern's tough, bug-laden meat. In an emergency, the Baroth can charge at opponents and even fling mud at them, but generally it will simply stay hidden if it can. Perhaps the most atypical brute wyvern yet discovered is the Brachydios. This indigo
Brachydios.
beast has strong and well-developed forelimbs with articulate fingers, crowned in thick, hardened chunks of shell armor called pounders. Using its pounders, the Brachydios' main defensive strategy involves punching prey head-on, annihilating it through the sheer destructive force of its strikes. It also grows a pounder on its head to allow for head bashes, and its tail ends in a massive club-like growth. The Brachydios' most bizarre feature, however,
yeah.
is its symbiosis with a colony organism called the slime mold. In exchange for letting this organism live on and in its body, the Brachydios can profit from their unique abilities, namely their tendency to produce immense amounts of explosive heat when multiplying. By coating its pounders with the mold and simulating it through a chemical gland at the tip of its tongue, the Brachydios can strategically place and use the slime mold to produce explosions with its strikes and leave behind slimy landmines. Should a target find itself coated in this mold, it will detonate within a short while, granting the Brachydios an easy win against most prey. This mold is passed on from parent to child, and some male Brachydios selectively seek out stronger, more vibrantly colored mold in order to further impress females. If there's one thing to be learned from the brute wyverns, it is that
I was gonna say, maybe you don't fuck with them.
strength comes in many forms. One can be large and bulky, but the true wonder and awe originates in the details, in the many fascinating ways in which evolution solves problems and overcomes obstacles. There truly is always a way forward, no matter how atypical and how bizarre. Thank you all so much for watching, as usual, and a very
This is just his Patreons. God fucking damn it, why is it not doing that?
special thank you to all of
The all-new...
Fuck you. That's great. Alright. Here you go. Another one of his video. And I'm keeping track on time. Just in case.
Classifying life is an endless endeavor.
Oh, yeah.
Nature does not owe us explanation and clarification, and so, any attempts to neatly categorize and analyze the kingdom of life is
I'm gonna say, or basically it's like science. Fuck around and find out.
inherently going to be quite difficult. We are left using the fields of phylogeny, the study and categorization of living organisms based on physical and genetic similarities. By assuming that similarities in those aspects denote relation, one can map out phylogenetic trees, diagrams that describe the evolutionary path any species took. It also allows us to separate life into neat little boxes to satisfy our craving for order. Over the years, the Hunters Guild has classified many distinct clades of monsters, grouped based on physical and genetic evidence. Of the many beasts that prowl the land, few groups are as famous and feared as the flying wyverns. These ferocious creatures are widespread and successful, terrorizing every region so far mapped by the guild. Flying wyverns are defined mostly by their body plan. They have 4 limbs and a tail, with the frontal limbs either possessing full wings or at least vestigial membranes. Their front limbs also generally extend sideways, while their back limbs point directly downwards under the body. Most flying wyverns are in effect bipedal, using only their back limbs to walk while their front limbs are reserved for flight.
I don't know why.
However, there are some quadrupedal flying wyverns, which use their wing arms for grounded movement as well. Curiously, despite the name, being able to fly is not a necessary feature to be classified as a flying wyvern. There are some that can only barely fly, and some that are entirely flightless. But all flying wyverns were, at some point or another in their evolutionary history, able to fly, and the remnants of that ability are what makes them flying wyverns. These features are somewhat arbitrary and hard to observe when running from one of these creatures. Thus, the Hunters Guild periodically releases phylogenies that illustrate the relationships between species. For that to be useful, one must know how to read a phylogenetic tree. Every phylogeny starts with a root, representing the ancestral lineage of the distant past. This root splits into branches, which eventually end in specific species. Every split point represents the last common ancestor the connected species had. This means that the fewer split points exist between two species, the closer their phylogenetic relationship is. Groups of species on one branch can also be classified into various tiered categories: order, suborder, infraorder, superfamily, family, species, and finally subspecies. There are actually more possible categories to be added into a phylogeny, but the guild tends to stick to only these. On the phylogenetic tree released by the guild, flying wyverns are part of the order Saurischia, like almost all wyverns. The title Flying Wyverns is here not included as its own phylogenetic rank because it is not really a biological class. Rather, it is a functional name used to warn hunters of what they can roughly expect to encounter when hunting any given beast. 2 branches of the phylogeny are thus defined as the Flying Wyvern class. More specifically, flying wyverns can be grouped into 2 suborders of Saurischia, Nonalisopoda and Dracopoda. Nonalisopoda is the more bizarre suborder out of the 2,
Oh, we're doing
meaning
fucking...
no wing feet. This suborder includes the few flying wyverns that have entirely lost not just the ability to fly, but all but the most vestigial remnants of wings.
I know what he's talking about.
Looking at these creatures, the term flying wyvern seems downright foolish. The species in this group tend to be fairly massive. Without having to worry about being too heavy to fly, Nonalisopode evolved into giant behemoths of power and strength.
Well, just
Additionally, due to their huge size and appropriately matched
well, this is, and that can explain why it was confusing to classify them as an elder dragon, even though they're like wyverns.
massive lungs, these wyverns are veritable sound cannons, able to weaponize their roars into actually viable weapons. Only two families are thus classified in this suborder, Akan and Ukan, with each only having a single representative species. The Akantor is a lava-dwelling flying wyvern whose massive spikes and tusks both protect it from flying assaults and slice open armored prey with ease. The Ukanlos, meanwhile, lives in Arctic regions, digging through the frost and causing avalanches in the process. Both of these species have historically been highly revered and feared due to their size and strength, and they are sometimes called the Black and White God, respectively. They have also evolved to heavily favor digging, which has been suggested to be a general trait of the Nonalisopods. All other flying wyverns fall
Yeah,
into
they
the
were born, I
suborder
think, from Georgia.
Dracopoda, or wyvern feet. They are defined by the typical flying wyvern body plan, as well as all of them having at the very least vestigial wings. Compared to Nonalisopoda, Dracopoda is a much more diverse clade, including 6 infraorders and 12 superfamilies. The history of this clade stands and falls with its most famous ancestor, the Wyvern Rex. This
Oh, yeah.
ancestral flying wyvern now only exists in fossils, but its importance lives on. Namely, it is believed that all flying wyvern of the Dracopoda suborder descended from the Wyvern Rex, making it a crucial point in evolutionary history. The split between the Nonalisopode and the Dracopode seems to not have been particularly clean. While the Nonalisopods had no wings and were developing to accommodate that, the Dracopods gave birth to the Wyvern Rex, which had wings but was beginning to adapt to a quadruped lifestyle similar to that of the Nonalisopods. Its front limbs were strong and angled towards the ground, which probably made the Wyvern Rex a clumsy flyer. And while it wasn't as massive or heavy as the Nonalisopods, it was already showing
Wait, how
signs
was my
of
video
bulging
going
muscle
on?
growth and increasing body weight. Off of
Okay, it's
Wyvern
good.
Rex, every other flying wyvern evolved based on how they iterated off of this odd, semi-flightless
Well,
creature.
There is a
Two
video I
infraorders
need to,
descended very closely from the
upload.
Wyvern Rex, inheriting
That
its
is
basic
very,
body plan and
very
shape.
important.
The true foot wyvern and the false foot wyvern. True foot wyvern are, as the name suggests, the most direct descendants of the Wyvern Rex, not just generally looking like it, but also completely inheriting its near flightlessness. There is only a single family in this infraorder, the Tigrex, who is only extremely rarely seen flying short distances, but whose ferocious strength makes it a powerful grounded opponent. It is the key to much of the information the guild has so far discovered on the Wyvern Rex, as they are believed to be so extremely similar. This is the reason why Tigrex is sometimes described as a primitive or ancient species, because of how much it inherited from its ancestor. The false foot wyvern, meanwhile, may look extremely similar to the Wyvern Rex, but they largely evolved to be less heavy set and more nimble. More
Which is
crucially,
Ian's
they have
burial.
somewhat reclaimed the ability to fly and have also modified the wing structures significantly. This infraorder can be further defined with the superfamily front wing wyvern, also called pre-winged foot wyvern in some older guild textbooks. This superfamily contains two known families of species. One is the Nargacuga, an ambush predator that prowls the shadows. It is extremely fast, and while it still prefers to walk, it can also take flight when need be. Interestingly, the exact amount of flying that this species does differs between regional populations, with New World Nargacuga basically never flying, for example. Also interesting to note is that the wings of the Nargacuga are modified to make the phalange into wing blades that it can use for actual attacks. The other family on this branch are the Berioth species, which have the most sophisticated flying abilities out of all foot wyverns. Whether it be the common species which patrols the Arctic regions, or the desert dwelling subspecies, Barioth are apex predators whose strong muscles, spiky hide, and excellent flying ability earns them many victories. They, just like the Nargacuga, have also modified their wings, making them much spikier, which allows.
Hold on a second, I want to test out something. I need this covered. And here's why. Because I have my emails here, and I need to have my emails. I may be tired, but I stay up all night just so I can watch this event. Oh, jeez. At least it worked on the Instagram. Because I remember at one point it didn't, but now it did. And because I was... Although I really do need to move out. I really do. But I'm a broke bitch, so that's impossible for me. Well, because our economy is so fucked up, I just had to feel to say that with my full chest. Well. Oh, Jesus Christ, that scared me in the ad. Sarah Thompson and Dinosaur. Okay, at least it worked. Yeah, true. They spin us. Sorry, I just had to do that. I'm still watching the video, it's just that it's almost time. Well, it's almost time. Why can't I, so, yeah, shout out to my Discord. It's not really my Discord, but it's the Discord I've been joining for like years. Yeah, shout out to them. Which I was gonna say, how is the short that I just uploaded? Yeah, Redacon did that. Oh, Jesus. Well, I mean, it did started. I just got scared. Okay, folks, this is its time. The anniversary is here. Let's see, where's my video? I'm just gonna do this. This is worth waiting for. little too expensive. This is probably not funny to people, but it's made as a joke.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the pre-show for the Monster Hunter 20th Anniversary Special Program. My name is Joe. I'm one of the community managers here at Capcom USA, and I'm joined by...
Hey everyone, I'm Jono. I'm the EMEA Community Manager on Monster Hunter.
Well, Jono, what are we doing today? Why are we in suits?
Well, that's a very good question, because normally for anyone that tunes into
I
our
don't have
community
a suit.
streams, we're normally just rocking a t-shirt or a hoodie. But today is a very, very special occasion because we are marking 20 years, 2 decades of Monster Hunter. I'm really excited.
Yeah, so am I. And today we're going to be going over the results of the Hunter's Choice Top Monster Poll. We're going to reveal who the #1 monster that you voted for is. And honestly, I'm super excited to reveal the results to everybody. But before we get into that, why don't we talk about, the overall show and what we're doing today. So today is really just a chance to celebrate the 20th anniversary. We won't have any crazy news or any reveals. You won't see any new gameplay or trailers for Monster Hunter Wilds, but we do have some cool stuff and cool insights from the dev team and from different community members of the Monster Hunter community.
Exactly.
least
This is
give us a
really
little
special.
teaser.
And, even looking at like our own journeys into the series all those years ago as players before we joined Capcom, the community were at the heart of Monster Hunter, whether it was the creator community or the passionate community themselves, building wikis, sharing tips on old forums, and all of that before like the advent of YouTube and the internet as a whole and social media. So it's really special to be able to celebrate that with everyone.
Yeah, and before we get into it, why don't we talk about the 20 through 11, the monsters that we've revealed so far in the Hunter's Choice Top Monster results. So I know you've got a lot of favorites in there. Jono, do you want to kick it off with what is your personal favorite monster?
Yeah, so coming in at 17, so much respect to the community here for your fantastic taste. We have my favorite. They're big, they're blue, they're Brachydios. Obviously introduced in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate here in the West. If you like slime weapons, or as they're now known as Blast, this is the monster for you. I just love how it looks. I love that it's big and blue. I love the explosions. I love the music. Everything about Brachy just screams cool to me. And I loved as well, obviously playing Monster Hunter Stories and Stories 2, that you could have Brachy as a monster and fight alongside them rather than against them all the time.
Yeah, I love the big old arms that it walks with and kind of just slams around and you kind of get caught in that blast radius, which is not a good feeling, but it is, it is a really, really cool monster. It obviously has a super awesome theme song, which is really intense and I love to listen to every now and then, so yeah.
Oh yeah, especially the Raging Brachy version. And that's the thing, when I was voting, I was like, do I go for Raging Brachy or the original Brachy? But it's kind of like chicken and egg situation. There wouldn't be Raging Brachy without base Brachydios. So that's where my vote went as well.
That's a great point. Well, for me, within this top 20 through 11, I'm a huge fan of Namio, who came in at number 18 with a new monster that came into the series with Iceborne. So a fairly new monster. I'm sure a lot of people who play the game are pretty familiar with it, but it's got this really almost like it's like a manta ray or I don't know, just this marine kind of theme to it, right? The way it has all the sound effects and the different I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, right? It's definitely got a unique feel that I think a lot of monsters don't really have in the series.
Yeah, you can definitely feel like it's come from the abyss, and even the sounds it makes are so aquatic, and obviously a dual element monster as well, combining water with thunder, makes it very, very dangerous when you're fighting it as well. And the armor as well looks so sleek and organic. Yeah, it was really unlike kind of anything else you'd fought up to that point.
Yeah, if you were to imagine a deep sea creature that has lived for thousands of years. That would be one. It's learn to live in the darkness or something like that. Yeah, a super, super cool monster.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so coming in at number 16 is another favorite of mine, Safi Jiva. This was a super cool raid monster, siege monster actually, that you could fight in Iceborne. And I think what I loved the most about this was the community building of just getting everybody together and just trying to pick apart the different mechanics. I think we weren't here at Capcom when it was first revealed, so we got to experience it as fans, but just the way it was revealed to the world and how everyone kind of just had to band together and just figure out how to take it out was quite the experience.
Yeah, and also
yeah,
like seeing
it
what
was so
a
hard.
fully formed adult version of Xenojiva was like was really cool to kind of see how the monster had kind of continued and kind of how they linked it together. And also, everyone plays a very specific role if they want to within the fight. Like, obviously, I'm a sword and shield main, so I'd be trying to go for the tail or like go for like trips on the legs and things. But then obviously, insect wave, gunners, bow users, we always go for those wing breaks. And if they went in the party, I found it so hard to get wing breaks. So if an insect wave came in or a ranged hunter, I was like, yes, more part breaks. Yeah, it's such an epic multi-stage fight, and I remember how many times I missed trying to knock terrain onto it as well with my slinger.
Yeah, that was something you kind of had to like discover for yourself, right? Of just like you continue to do the fight, you see what other people are doing, and you know that's one of those things that they kind of hint to you, but it's not necessarily just like, hey, you should do this exact thing to knock over like the stalactites and the different terrain and all that. So definitely such a cool fight to discover and to learn.
Exactly, and then obviously Safi's ultimate move is really quite a sight to behold and experience. They better find somewhere to hide.
Yeah, sometimes I always found myself just slightly getting caught outside of like the protection zone of that like rock that's blocking for you, which I think is a lesson that you learn right away of like you make sure you're totally in a safe zone. Don't get caught outside of it.
Exactly, and talking of obviously, these big attacks and kind of monsters coming in and really changing the game. The next monster, which is one of my favorites, and it came in at number 13, which is a fantastic achievement for a monster which I think is actually the most recently added new monster to the whole franchise. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that is Primordial Malzeno, obviously kind of like crowning off Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak's story, kind of putting it to bed as the sun sets in a really, really satisfying way. Primordial Malzeno obviously is kind of like the uncorrupted pre-Curio version of the flagship Malzeno. So it's such a cool evolution and version of the monster, and I love how it fights. It looks like a knight in shining armor. It fights almost like a lance or sword and shield user with really interesting combos and jabs. And no spoilers, but I really love how the story version of the hunt goes and how the climax unfolds and what happens. It was a really surprising twist and a great way to kind of wrap up the themes of Sunbreak.
Yeah, you said it all, Jono. I mean, you didn't think that Malzeno could get more, I guess, regal and menacing.
Yeah.
And somehow they topped it right with Primordial Malzeno, and it's such a great fight. And yeah, obviously, we don't want to give any spoilers for anybody who hasn't played it yet, but the way the fight plays out with the culmination of the Sunbreak story and the way it ends is just awesome. So yeah, definitely a great way to cap off the adventure with Sunbreak.
And obviously the armor and weapons look really, really cool as well. I'm a sucker for my fashion. You know that.
Well, with that said, we don't have the time to cover all of the 20 through 11. You will see them recapped again at the start of the show, but yeah, a lot of great monsters that were included in that list, and we can't wait to reveal those final results. So
Exactly. 229 monsters. We got 10 to 1 to go. It's any monsters game, well, except the ones we've mentioned already. But it's any other monsters game right now. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what the community voted for. And I guess we'll be discovering that together.
Oh yeah. Jono, it's been 20 years of Monster Hunter. Obviously,
Yeah.
We've all started the series in different time frames and had different experiences with it. Any thoughts, just like reflecting on your journey with the series so far?
Yeah, I mean, my first ever Monster Hunter title was 3 Ultimate, and quite soon after I then jumped onto 4U as well. And it's been awesome. The first ever weapon I used, ever in Monster Hunter was actually Switch Axe. However, I was a really big noob. I couldn't quite get used to being slow having this big weapon, so I quite quickly swapped to Sword and Shield. And ever since then, it's been my main squeeze, my main weapon. I love the versatility, I love the variety, and I love how good it is with element and status kind of sets. How about you, Joe?
Yeah.
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I also started around the same time, but I would say, initially I kind of bounced off the game a little bit because, I don't think, I was wired that way necessarily just yet to really, wrap my head around all the mechanics and the way the game worked. But, I think it's a testament to the community who have created, you know, so many different guides and videos and just different ways to get into this series that have really, you know, that helped educate me and helped bring me up to the kind of the skill level that I felt like I was experiencing, like, you know, the experience of a lot of other community members where, you know, I discovered this thing, I learned about it, and I got better at it, and then I became an advocate for it. So, you know, I think that's really the journey of Monster Hunter, especially, you know, I think in our regions in North America and Europe, to be able to like have that journey of like, we got to experience the discovery of something that we really love, and now we get to share it with everybody. So it's been really, really exciting in that way.
Exactly, and you know, we touched on the creators. You know, I really got into Monster Hunter thanks to the creators kind of taking the time to share their passion for this series and want it to grow and share it rather than gatekeeping. And that, once again, you know, that's why the community and the creators are the heart of Monster Hunter. And it's great to kind of see that continue as more and more people came to Monster Hunter over the years. Obviously, you know, you go through like generations, and then obviously you then had Monster Hunter World Show, and you know, what kind of impact did that have?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just, you know, taking the franchise, you know, completely global and having the simultaneous worldwide release with World, and you know, we've just really been continuing the momentum since then. And obviously, I think the future is very bright with Monster Hunter Wilds, and you know, we've got Monster Hunter Stories that's also coming out this summer. So yeah, it's just a really good time to be a Monster Hunter fan right now.
It is, you know, and like with our recent like return to World Community Celebration, seeing not only, you know, veteran hunters and content creators come back, but loads of new players come in to play Monster Hunter World, whether they were excited from the Monster Hunter Wilds reveal, or they were like, hey, a lot of people are talking about this game, you know, I'm going to check it out, like jump in. It's been awesome. And obviously, you know, the most recent release, Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, I love the combat in that. It's so fluid, and your weapons get so many moves, and you can customize how your individual weapon behaves. So if you had, say, there was like 2 longsword users in a hunt, they could have totally different playstyles and moves. And I just found that really, really fun, and a really cool twist on the combat that I'd got used to from World and Iceborne. So yeah, it's just such a great time. No matter what kind of hunter you are, you can enjoy all the different Monster Hunter games, you can have your favorite, and I think that's such a good thing to be able to celebrate and talk about.
Yeah, different types of Monster Hunter games, different genres, which is awesome. So it's, yeah, like we said, it's just a really great time to be part of the franchise. And I think with that, we're going to wrap up our pre-show. We're going to have a pretty fun program ahead of us. So, you know, after the results of the Hunter's Choice Top Monster, we hope you stick around and check out everything we've got. But yeah, with that said, we want to say thank you so much to the Monster Hunter community. Your support means the world to us. Jono, any parting words before we go?
Yeah, it's been an incredible 20 years, no matter when you joined us as a Monster Hunter fan. Thank you so much. It's awesome to have you with us. And here's to the next 20 years and 2025 when things are going to be getting wild.
All right, well, before we head into the main show, we'll want to sign off with our usual Monster Hunter chant.
Happy hunting.
Happy hunting!
Yep. Raiden 2025. Well, there we go. Okay, I was kind of right, but at least give us a teaser. Okay, I guess not. Guess there's no teaser. Oh, I heard it. I'll actually. Yeah. The theme is cool, not gonna lie. The old game. And then new upgrade. Alright, cool. Third. Oh, it must be the guy Chris, right? Allegedly. Yep, the guy Chris. The third. He is Nergigante. Yep, normal. got number 1. And I got like the monsters that are really cool. I guess one of the most unique characters. Probably isn't.
Wow, congratulations to Zenoga, Nergigante, and Lagiacrus, the top 3 monsters as voted for by you, the community, from 20 years of Monster Hunter. That's pretty awesome, hey Joe.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for casting your votes. But it sounds like we're not quite done yet, right?
You are right, because there is another Hunter's Choice on the horizon. Coming soon, you, the community, will be tasked to vote for the best monster theme music.
Yeah, there's been so many incredible songs throughout the Monster Hunter series, so many iconic themes, so we can't wait to see what you vote on.
Yeah. Wait, that's it? Oh, there's more.
まずその初代モンスターハンターが生まれた経緯。
経緯、そのネットワーク
そうそうそう
ゲームを立ち上げるぞみたいな。
コンシューマー家庭用ゲーム機の、オンラインゲームをちょっと作っていきましょうみたいなね、方向になってで3タイトル立ち上がって、その時に同時に立ち上がったのはアウトモデルスタっていうレースゲームと、バイオハザードアウトブレイクっていう、バイオハザードを使ったネットワークゲームで、もう一つがモンスターハンターということですよね。モンスターハンターが、カプコンで強いアクションゲームで、オンラインゲームで、藤岡が初代のディレクターでして、
そうですね。
で僕はその当時はネットワークの方のプランナーで関わってたんですけど、まずモンスターハンターとかモンスター、実は一番初めにできたモンスターってレイヤーなんですよね。
リオリエ
ですよね。
そうそうそう。一番最初に上がったとがレイヤーだった、緑色のああいうこう毒性を持った飛竜みたいなものをまずデザイナーがデザインしたっていう、それ以上でもそれ以下でもないかなと思ってて、
だから初代のロゴの上によるのはレイヤーなんですよね。
そうそうそう。だから
実はレースと思ってる方も多いかもわかんないですけど、
そうなのね。だからその前身もあったよね。モンスターハンターになる前で、
ありますね。
ファンタジーを作ろうって言ってた頃は本当に普通のドラゴンデザインしてたし、もっと本当に王道なスタイル、魔法使いもまだいたし、王道なすごいスタイルだったんだけど、なんか自分たちのオリジナルってなんだろうねっていう時に、もうそういう魔法使いとかじゃなくて、で王道なドラゴンじゃなくて、もっと自分たちなりのこのデザインされた生き物をちゃんと作ろうってなって、リオレイヤーデザインしてくれたかな。
アイルのデザイン
デザインね、
全然違いますもんね。
全然。もともとデザイナーがやってたのはチャチャブみたいな、
ちょっとゴブリンみたいなやつですよね。
そうそうそう。すごいこうバキバキのもうゴブリンでさ怖いわ言って
あれ本当ちょっとしたことですけど、本当よかったです。
ちょっとしたことだけで本当よかった。
このまま言ってたら
やったらもうバキバキのこんな怖みたいなやつ
ね。
いやマスコットやったから
マスコットじゃない。
マスコット誰が
今はもう全14部機種になってますけど、当時はもう6種。
もともとが、でっかいモンスター倒すんだから、ハンター、プレイヤーの武器もでっかい方がいいでしょみたいなところから体験とヘビーボウガンやってるね、癖強の2つから始めてたから。
そうですよね。初め体験したもんね、ずっとね。
体験でその後増えていったのもハンマーとかランス。重いのばっかりってこれいるやろって言ってさすがにいるやろ、
ザクザクいけないやつばっかりでね
ってなって片手剣とライドボウが増やして、それでなんかキャラクター性が一通り揃ったんよね。だからもうまずは最初の6武器をちゃんと作り上げようっつって、 まずはそこからかな。一個一個の武器がもう全然仕様が違うから癖が強すぎる。
特に当時はボタンじゃなかったですからね。スティックでしたからね。
スティックで攻撃してたからな。東京ゲームショウとかでこうアテンドするじゃん。まあプレイヤーの遊び来る子触ろうとするやん。大体みんな普通はこうボタンに手やるやん、すぐにピッて。
そうね。
ボタンじゃないんですよ。これレバーなんです。
こっちなんです。
まずそこから持ち替えさせるみたいなね。
今のモンスターハンターのプレイヤーの方もそうなんですけど、やっぱあの時からやっぱりその助け合いであったりとか、その情報共有であったりとか、すごくなんでしょう。あの時でそういう言葉あんまりないかもしれないですけど、結構コミュニティみたいながねできてたんですよね。
なんか自然発生してたしね、その助け合うとかね。昔はもう入ったらこう大チャットっていうみんながチャットの中にダーッと100人ぐらいがなだれ込んできてでラオシャンロン張ってますみたいなログがブワーってずっと流れててでそれに群がっていくその人たちがいる。
いざ入ったらラオ何したらいいのみたいな、
教えてくださいみたいな、尻尾に引かれてやられてしまいますみたいな何してたらいいんでしょうかって。
そうですね。
そうそう、
ドスからやっぱり古流がやっぱりスポット当たってきてるので、
それもなんか今のひな形になったかなというか、その大型モンスターとしてのモンスターたちっていうのが基本的にはこの世界屋台骨なんだけど、そのワンクラス上のやつらがいるっていう、そのなんていうかな、ファンタジックな部分っていうのを古流っていうやつらが持ってて、だからそいつらが出てきたらもう受け入れるしかないみたいな存在だから、そういう存在をなんか作れたっていうのは、なんかモンスターハンターのゲームのデザインしていくとか世界観作っていく上ではなんかすごいあの当時ああいう仕掛けをしといてよかったかなっていう。
そうですね。本当になんか特別な存在でしたからね。ドスの時も特に。
そうそうでラージャンとかもそうだしね、そのどこでも出てくるすんげえ荒らしてくるやつみたいな、急に出てくるやべえやつっていうのはなんか作りたいな。
ラージャンは今でも大活躍ですからね。
大活躍
ですからね。
で大闘技大会っていう
のありましたね。
あったやろ。捕獲したモンスターを自分のパートナーとして出てでこの
戦えるんですよね。
対戦できるっていう大闘技大会っていうモードがあったんやけど、ラージャンをゲットできるんだよね。でラージャンがゲットできたらもうほぼ一択でラージャンが強いっていう世界だったんやけどモンスターもこう餌を与えていくと強化できるんだけど、そのラージャンの強化する素材がキリンの角やって。で、
設定的にもね。
そう。で今となってもそれが設定としてはこうキリンの角を食うっていう設定がラージャンに残ったっていうのは、そっからっていうのがある。そこって思うけど、なんかそっからもうキリンの角を食う。
もう最近ではデモで出てきますからね。まず携帯基盤、これを作ることになったきっかけって多分みんな知りたいと思うけど、
僕との方もタイトルがちょうど「バイオハザードアウトブレイク」ってタイトルが終わった後にちょうどその当時のプロデューサーの方から携帯機のゲーム PSP が出ていて、でそちらの方で開発をしないかって話をいただいたのが最初のきっかけになりますね。
ドスとの連動っていうのがあって、実はヤンガルルがあって、そこで生まれたモンスターでね。ヤンガルルが行き来するモンスターみたいな扱いで、生まれたのがガルルなんですよね、本当はね。
そうですね。何かしらドスとポータブルの方で世界観を共有しながらちょっと何かゲームみたいなのが作れないかっていうので、そういったちょっと新規のモンスターを作って、ちょっと確かに試みたのは大きなちょっと挑戦でしたね。あれも
でここで今となっては大人気のモンスターのティガレックスが生まれると。
最初、メインモンスターを新規で何かしら作ろうって話になったんですけど、モンスターハンター無印とかに作った設定仕様とかめちゃくちゃあるんですけど、ワイバーンレックスって言われるこう飛竜の原種みたいな、昔にいた生き物みたいなそういうふうな設定のやつがあって、そこらとかは使えそうかっていうので、恐竜とかもやっぱ TX とかそういったもやっぱり人気の生き物だったりとかする、そこらと飛竜、モンスターをかけを作ることでインパクトの強いものができないかなっていうので、考えたものにはなりますね。
あれだっけ、僕がガウシカにボコられたんて、
そうです。
あれセカンドの時は
セカンドの時ですね。
なんか一ノ瀬に呼ばれてテストプレイやってほしいって言われて、超強いガウシカでねテストプレイやっててボッコボコにされて、どっかまでも追いかけてくるガウシカで、最後もう丘の上から俺弓打ってた
それ見てガウシカ調整しようかなって。い
や分かったんちゃう、
じゃあちょっとまずいかな、
どう考えても分かんて
おかげさまで。
セカンド G が今までの、モンスターハンタータイトルの中で一番開発期間がやっぱ短くて、
そうですね。
で初めにコンセプト企画書って作るやん、あれのバージョン 1.0 っていうのがあって、でそれが、2007年の4月の25日やった。実際作り出したんでそのもうちょっと後やねんね。
はいそうですね。
っていうと1年やっぱかかってなくて、
いやそれかかってなかったですね。
実質あれ10ヶ月かかってないかな。
それぐらいでやってるような気がしますね。ナルガとかもなんかもう即なんか用意したような気は。
そうやね。もう検証なんかできへんかったね。
ですね。なんかもう早い木が作ろうって。早い木が
ちょっとね、変化球的なモンスターにしようっていうね。
ダークヒーローじゃないですけど、ちょっと外したような形のかっこいいやつをちょっとしてみようかっていうので、なんかあの形にはなりましたね。
オープニングのナルガがねまだ本モデルじゃなかったから、シルエットだけ見せてごまかせるようにしたね最後目だけ引かせシュッてやってね、
いい感じに盛り上げるために
新システムというかオトモアイルを入れるというね、
アイルーとかをちょっと動かしてみよう、できるかなみたいな話をした時になんかちょっと動かせましたみたいな感じで、これはいけるって話で案外いけるかもっていうので
次にちゃんがディレクターとしてかかってたのが P サードと、今回20周年で企画でやった、モンスター人気投票1位になったジンオーガ
ジンオーガさんすごいですね、
生まれてるというところやね。
ジンオーガの開発もやっぱり時間めちゃくちゃ
かかったね、これね。
正直今まで僕がやった中で一番苦労したんじゃないかなと思いますね。
何ヶ月かな。
もうこれもう立ち上げから最後までの2年丸々使ってると思うぐらいどういったアクションをちょっと遊びのサイクルに持ってくるかとかなかなか決まんなくてで叩きつけるみたいなところからちょっと遊びを軸にいろいろと来航中のサイクルですかっていうのをちょっと作っていったって感じはありますね。デザインとかもだいぶ最初の段階二足歩行で立ってましたからね当初はそういう風なネタとかもありましたね。
初めて、結構和のテーマが入ってくるという、そこでだから温泉とかもやっぱりここで初めて登場。
モンスターハンターとかは結構衣食住っていうか生活をベースにした、テーマのゲーム、何か生活感を感じれるもの何かないかなって話をちょっとその当時とかの企画のメインの方と一緒にちょっと話してて、洗濯かお風呂ぐらいかみたいな話になってお風呂はなんか気持ちよさそうやし、なんか温泉とか、日本人の感覚でいうとやっぱりこう気持ちよくてリフレッシュする感があるんで、なんかそこら辺のとこちょっとモチベにやりたいねって話してで、もう風呂しかないっていうか温泉しかないっていうのでちょっとこう食事に変わるシステムっていうのでちょっと入れた感じではありますね。
Really? He's in a...
水中はちょっとこれ無印の時にさ、なんかその一番最初の盛岡のステージでキャンプから出るとアプトノスがいて、で川を横断してアプトノスがこう逃げて、
あいつらだけ逃げていけるね。
うわもうここ入らせろみたいなこの欲求が強かったよね。で欲求は大事にしたいよねっていうのと、 チャレンジは1個何かやりたいっていうのがあって、モンスターとこう立体的な関わりができるんだったらすごいいいんじゃないかなっていうので、水中っていうのとメインのモンスターを据えようっていうので、そこはワンセットでも、面白くならない限り水中はフィックスしちゃダメぐらいで勢いでやってたから、
そう外せるぐらいの覚悟でね、
もうくらいの覚悟でもう最悪埋め立てるっていう、ラギアクルスチームみたいなのができたの、もう絶対おもろするっつって割り切りどころもこっちは提案してたけど、いや絶対もうこのシームレスにやれるのが絶対楽しいし、それを実現したいですっつって、すごい意気込みで作ってくれて、360度いろんな角度で関われるけどアクセスしやすい感じと、なんかそのやり取りがモンハンライクっていうゲームデザインになったから、すごいおもれえなこれってなって、でもう実装しよう、水中ちゃんとやろうっていう。
でですね、トライ作って、で正直僕らその後 MH4 モンスターハンター4作ってたんですけど、
作ってた。
ちょっとモンスターハンター4がちょっと思ったより時間かかると、じゃあ間にちょっとなんか欲しいよねっていう話になって、じゃあトライを移植してくるのはどうだって初め話だったんですよね。でも移植だけやったらあれやから、せめて水中だからガノトトス足そうみたいな、こうやってたらなんか GQ も入ってるしモンスターめっちゃ入ってるしこれやばないって言って
タンジアっていう
新しい拠点までできて
そら移植じゃないでしょみたいな。
移植じゃないやろもう発表の1ヶ月ぐらい前ですかね、これ G つけようって話になって、
トライ G にしたいって言い出して、
そっから変わったんですよね、名前が。
地形周りでちょっとチャレンジしてたっていう、ジャンプ攻撃作りたいとか、
高低差ね。
そうトライのそのちょっと水中の高低差での遊びみたいなのがやっぱどうしてもこういいなっていうのもあって、それをもう少しこう陸に持ってこれないかっていうのもあって、当時のゲームアクションゲームのスタンダードがもう高低差ありきのレベルデザインにもなってきてたから、モンスターハンターっていうゲームが今後も戦っていくためには高低差のあるフィールドに自分たちもちゃんとやらななやばいのっていうので始めたっていうのもあったから、
やっぱりでもここで高低差入ったのはすごくやっぱ大きかったですね。
そうね、
できるっていうのがね、それが
上からのアプローチとか下から上を取られた時どうしようとか、いろんな思考がこのフィールドの地形に対しても考えれるようになったっていうのは、だからやっぱモンスターが対応する、プレイヤーが対応するっていうのが大きいから、それができるようになったのは良かったかな。
方でいうとゲームスタートした後にこう、ドラマチックなところから始まるみたいなね。
4はとにかくそのいろんな要素を分かりやすくしようっていうか、キャッチーにしようっていうので、もうちょっと開放感のあるテーマにしようって冒険っていうのすごい分かりやすいキーワードを1個入れようって言って冒険って拠点を転々としながらお話が進んでいくっていうのは1個やりたいねですね。だからそこにキャラクターもすごく必要だし、描かないといけないその物語もやっぱりしっかり書かないとこう展開作れないから、だからそこは一番4で取り組んだのかな。
ここで、現状の全14武器種が揃うんですね。
全部のね、
総中根とチャージアックスが追加される
と、そういうジャンプに結構フォーカスしたゲーム性だったから、そういうのをユニークなその性能として持っている武器があってもいいんちゃうかっていうのと、これも無印の頃のイラストなんやけど、なんか鷹匠みたいな、鷹をこう操る職業みたいなイラストがあって、なんかおもろいことできんかっつって、虫を操るその操縦コン、チャージアックスの時はもう分かりやすい武器作ろうぜみたいな、スラッシュアックスとこのちょっと対になるような、もう分かりやすい武器作ろうっつって、合体変形が結構コンセプトにある武器で。
ゴアマガラが今回のモンスター総人気投票でやっぱり北米だったらやっぱりね人気あるんですね。特にゴアマガラってテーマ的にダークヒーローみたいなのがあったじゃないですか。それで結構海外で受けてて嬉しいですね。
そうね、海外だと 4G かな、とか展開した時も海外のコミュニティを感じるようになってたから、
トライから取り組み始めて、で 4G とかでも結構やってですよね。
だからいろんなとこでちっちゃなこのイベントやってるのもちょっと顔を出させてもらったりとか、まあ大きなコミュニティとちょっとコミュニケーションを取る場を作ってくれたりとか、まあその頃からすごい感じてたけどな。
Sure. What's next? Oh, Ichidose again.
モンスターハンタークロスだよね。
はい、そうですね。
はい。これ実は全然違うタイトルだったよね。最終的にはちょっといっちゃんと僕でやるって話になって、
それまで作ってた別のゲームとかあったんですけど、まあそれやめてで、まあ、今回何しようって話に、まあ亮さんと合流してで、亮さんからもう提示してもらったのがお祭り感ね。で一言お祭り感以上。うちらスタッフ全員おおってなって、そこから鍵技やスタイルとか4大モンスターがお祭り感から生まれた。よくできましたね。
みんなよくそんなねキーワードでここまでね広げてくれたわっていうぐらいやけど、岩中のところでいうとやっぱり仮技とスタイル、
はい、3DS できるタイトルと、まあそれも何タイトルか出てきてるんで、やっぱりちょっと、ゲーム的にも何かちょっとアクションの部分で新しさとかがないと、やっぱマンネリはちょっとし始めるかなっていうので、既存の武器のところに何かちょっとシステムを加えることで遊びを広げられないかなっていうので、ちょっとこういったシステムをちょっと入れることになりましたね。お祭り感とこのキーワードのところから懐かしかった頃に戻れるみたいな、そういったものにしたかったので、過去にあった村とか、そういったものを、持ってきたり、4つの拠点か、でその4つの拠点にそれぞれ4つのモンスターを置いてって感じで、まあキーワードを4っていうものにしたんで、スタイルの数も4だったりとか、そんな感じでちょっとまとめていったって感じにはなりますね。
4大メインモンスターの中で、まあ個人的にはその後結構厄介なのがガムート
なんですか。
でかい
でかいのが厄介なんですか。
いや結構ほらあっこに出そうとかってなった時に、
そういうこと
あいつだけどでかいから。
でも当時はでかいマンモスが出したかったんですよね、どうしても。でも全然ガムートなんかいい感じにすれば出せるんじゃないですか。
そうやね、ガムート子供とかちょっとちっちゃめのやつおれへんか。この時に出たのが、まあ、お祭り感もあってニャンタ
オトマイルのとこ、まあちょっと何かしら手を加えた方がいいかなっていうので、実際もプレイヤーとして遊べてみても、まあお祭りっていうことなんであれば、いいのかなっていうので、最初やっぱゲーム的にどう調整しようかなってところもあったんですけど、もうかなり遊んでもらって、今でもやっぱりユーザーの人とかね、ニャンターとかないんですかっていうような意見とか、やっぱそういうの目にしますもんね。
それね、クロスが発売されて、まあその後にまあタイトル名としてはダブルクロスと
市原君はディレクターで
やってくれてて、エグゾプライマルのディレクターやってる平岡がメインプランナーでやってくれてて、当然の流れとして仮技とスタイルを足すんだろうなっていうのはあったんやけど、スタイルを2つ持ってきたよね。
そうですね。すごい調整量が G になって作るもんと掛け合わせがすごかったですね。
前の仮技とかにも全部掛け合わせ見ていかなあかんから、結構2つ足すってえらいことなんですやけど、やりますって言って最後まで走り切ってくれて、で、ここでモンスター的生まれたのが、これも結構大人気、バルハルク。バルハルクってちょっと一風変わったモンスターに見えたと思うんだよね。あれってどんな経緯とか。
元デザインのところシャチベースとかなんかそんな感じじゃなかったかな。だからちょっと、空飛んでるもんなんで、最終的に今の形になったっていうのは、鳥とかそっち側の方が。
そしてここでなんと2つ名でモンスターがこのメインモンスター扱いとして入ってくるっていうね。ここでディアブロスと。
めちゃくちゃ強かったですね。
強かったな。早かったな。
ですね。モードも複数切り替えて、後半に行くほどか、だんだん戦闘スタイル変わってで、こうゲーム自体も手に汗握るような。
そうやね。ディアブロスってね、初代から出てるんやけど、 ここでね一番スポット当たったかもからね。
確かにそうかもしれないですね、特徴的な色にもねしてたんで、結構印象にはモンスターになったんじゃないかなと、2つの中でもとは思いますね。
Oh yeah, Monster World, I think. Yep. Oh, the two directors at
ワールドの、ディレクターの徳田を呼んでますので、ワールドとかアイスボーンの話をちょっとしていきたいと思っておりますと。で、ここでやっぱり、グローバルをちょっと意識しようというところも出てて、で
もきっかけで言ったら 4G のテストやもん
な。そうですね。4G を、海外の方にプレイしていただいて、意見をいただこう、フィードバックをもらおうっていうのを、海外の方の反応って結構ダイレクトに「わっ」みたいな、なかなかこう答えるものがあって
なんで門前払いとは言わんけど、なんかそれぐらいの勢いで結構徳田がこう黒敵だもんだからかなり気合が入り直したというかね、
そうですね。
次のゲームの水準というか、そこでやらないといけないところを改めてこうぶつけられたっていうか。
ありましたね。
今回やっぱりそのナンバリングをやめたというか、そのタイトルとしてもちょっと自分たちのテーマをやっぱりタイトルにつけていこうって話。
あれ開発名やったもん。
そうコードネームがワールドだったんです。
なんか気に入ってもうて、もうワールドでええわみたいな。嘘やろ。ワールドスタンダードしようぜってワールドにしてたやつ。
環境利用、モンスターも含めていろいろ考えて遊んでもらおうみたいなところがあったと思うんだけど、ここ大変やったなみたいなのってある？
縄張り争いだもんな、そのモンスターを誘導してそのぶつけ合うっていうのが行為として面白い、面白くなりそうだまでは分かるけど、本当にそれをゲームとして遊び出した時にそれにこうどれぐらい価値を見出せるかみたいなんてなかなかこう伝わりづらいというか、
プレイヤーがね関与しないって思われがちっていう。
最初実装した時に、結構チームにも効率重視のプレーをする子がいて、狩りの効率を回すのが好きみたいな人がいて、その子がこんなの面倒くさいし誰もやらないんじゃないですかみたいなことを言ってたんですよ。でその後にダメージ表記を実装したんですよ。
そうだね。
プレイヤーが普通に攻撃すると10とか20とかしか
桁がちゃうかったね。
縄張りでバーンと外したら1000以上ノンと入った瞬間にその効率重視の子があれ使わないのおかしいっすよみたいなくるって変わって、その時に縄張り争いもダメージ表記もいけるな。
ワールドのその数字の実装っていうのはモンハンにとってはすごい
そうですね。
革命だし、僕としてもすごいそれは感じてた。
今回モンスターの人気投票やって2位がネルギガンテで、ネルギガンテのこだわりって
まず古竜が集まる、生態系を含めたお話にしたいっていうのがあったんで、何がいいかなって考えてふと破壊と再生
言ってたね。
それを隣にいた藤岡さんに「破壊と再生どうすか?」って言ったら「おもろいな」再生能力あるからこそその自らが傷つくこともいとわず攻撃するみたいな、そのアクション性も含めて体現できたら、張りのあるモンスターになるんじゃないかなみたいな。
だからアイスボーンの最後もネルギガンテに美味しいとこ持っていかしたかったよね。生きてたみたいなネルギガンテらしいこのなんか持っていき方がちょっとあれはなんかやりたかったよね。
ワールドでは結構タイトルアップデートでコラボとか結構多く入れたんですけど、逆に言うとアイスボーンは既存モンスター、シリーズモンスターの人気どころをちょっと入れていこうっていう。
単純に僕の一個の心残りというか手強いモンスターがちょっとコラボキャラばっかりだったんで、やっぱちゃんと自社というかモンスターハンターのキャラにしたかったよね。だからミラボレアスはもう最強にする。
ミラは揉めましたね。最後の最後まで出せるかどうかっていう議論をずっとしてたね。
ステージも足すし、お話も作り出すし、ムフェトからアルバトリオンでミラまでちょっとこう伏線をちょっとずつ張りながらミラに持っていってたから、ラインでこうつなげていこうみたいな。
やっぱ締まりましたね。
そういう意味ではね、
すごい締まりましたね。
今でもずっと遊び続けてくれてるし、
やっぱりそのワールドアイスボーンっていうのはちょっとああいうその世界観の広がりであったりとか、その本当にモンスターハンターの世界って結構ねずっとこだわったところ が一気にこう広がったというか、感じがしますよね。ラージャンの、キャプチャー
Oh yeah,
の
I
映
remember
像を
that.
出したんですか。
はいはいはい。
昔はもう全部手付けだったじゃないですか、モンスター。
そうだね。でモンスターもそろそろやってみるか。
うんうんうん。
キリンのこう角バキって折るとこペットボトルバーンって折ってうわーってやっていって。
前話したけど、それ徳田があれでしょ。
そうですドスの時に
大闘技会。
そうでキリンの角を食べるとめちゃくちゃ強くなるっていうあれが成人の儀式なんですよとかいろいろ言っててそれを回収してくれたんですよね。
Now here's a portal one. And I yep, Suzuki's there.
またちょっと和のテイストが入ったところに、もう一回チャレンジっていうことになったんだけど、
そうですね、ライズの場合はワールドとは、違ったスタンスのゲームにしたい、携帯機、の特徴を生かした感じの遊びのサイクルだったりとか、そんなものにしたいっていうふうな話を受けていたので、世界観だったりとか、そういったものをちょっとどうしようかなって時に再度そのモンスターハンターの中でその和のテイストとかアジア圏のなんかネタみたいなのをちょっとやってもいいのかなっていうので、ちょっと、テーマに今回ちょっとしたって感じではありますね。はい、
モンスターのモチーフも結構、今回、ライズの時は結構ユニークにちょっと妖怪とかをちょっとテーマに入れたりとかすることになったと思うけど、その辺のはどういう感じなの？
もう少しテーマ性とかをそれぞれ持たせれないかなっていうので、少しより具体的に、妖怪をテーマとか何かちょっと分かりやすい共通のテーマ性みたいなのを持たせることで、過去作のモンスターとかともちょっと違った、ものを作れないかなっていうので、そういったものをちょっと、お題として出させてもらったっていうのはありますね。
でシステム的なところでいうとやっぱかけり虫っていうのは初めて入っている、システムになるんだけど、
ちょっとゲームのその地形を使った遊びっていうのをちょっと考えようかった時に、こう壁に張り付いたりだったりとか、地形でいろんなことをしたいっていうところがあり、ワイヤーを使ったようなアクションっていうのをちょっと足したいなっていうところから、単純にワイヤーでフックをかけてなんか登るとかそういったものではなくて、ちょっとせっかくモンスターハンターの世界なんで何か生き物を使った形でそういったものをちょっと表現しようっていうのがかけり虫だったりしますね。はい、
お供でいうとここでアイルじゃないお供としてガルクが登場するっていうことになる。
犬ファンの形が、犬とかも何かしらの形で出えへんかなみたいな話とかで、そのお供の形でできないかなっていうところから、アイルと同じような獣人の形した犬のままだと役割的にはあんまり変わんない、なるんで、ちょっとガルクの方はちょっと四つ足の本当に獣、モンスターですねの形で、ハンター側の方に協力してくれるモンスターという生物としてちょっと、新しく作ったっていう感じにはなってますね。
はい、ここからは、鈴木ディレクターを呼んでますので、サンブレイクの方の話を聞いていきたいと思いますと。よ
ろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくです。
はい、
世界観のところやねんけど、で、今回ちょっとテーマをライズとは変えたところの理由っていうのは？
もう一度その和の世界で行くよりも、あえてここは洋風に倒すことで、西洋の妖怪ではないんですけれども、やはりモンスターという存在がたくさんいますので、そこら辺をモチーフにした、絵代わりと、それからその遊びの変化といったところ、違った登場人物を出すことができるかもしれないといったところを総合的に考えた時に、ここをあえて洋風でチャレンジしてみようというところで企画書を書かせていただいてと、もちろん、西洋洋風の世界で進めていこうっていう話、企画自体は立てていたんですが、和風の路線っていうのも、企画自体はベースはありました。はい、なので、アートまでは書かれてるんですよ。陽気払いの里というところでですね、本当にその陽気払いの里で、神楽の里の面々が、また活躍していくといったようなルートっていうのも、自分の中では、温めてはいたんですけれども、残念ながら日の目を見ることはなかった。
フロンティアからモンスターが、久々にというか、エスピナスを持ってきたと。あれの経緯は？
ちょうどその開発を始める少し前ぐらいのタイミングで、モンスターハンターフロンティアがサービス終了を迎えたタイトルでもあったんですね。 遊べなくなってしまったそのユーザーの皆さんにそのモンスターハンターフロンティアの要素っていうのを何かこう届けられないかなっていう気持ちが一つあったのと、で、もう一つはそのモンスターハンターのフロンティアのモンスターっていうのは新鮮に感じられる部分もあるんじゃないかなと、そういった面から一体モンスターを出してみようというふうに考えまして、モンスターハンターシリーズにおいて、直近の作品において、マッチするモンスターどれかなっていうのを考えた時に、生態であったりとか、もしくはアクションであったりとか、そのあたりを考慮した結果エスピナスという一体を選ばせていただいたということになっておりますね。
なるほど。じゃあモンスターで言ったら、サンブレイクって結構 TU でも達成だよね。
はい。
やっぱメルセデス締めれた方がなんか締まったね。
そうですね。直前でまずはその天妻が土で、ライズから続く流れのところを一度完結をさせていただいて、で次に、最後メルセデスのところでしっかりと、ラストを飾る、ラストを締めることができたっていうのは、開発スタッフ一同にとってもすごく大きなものだったかなというふうに思います。
そうですね。最後にユーザーに締めて、綺麗にしまったなって感じでよかったね。
デモとかもちゃんと作ってくれてて、ちゃんとなんかストーリーの補完とかもなんかできたのがすごい良かったって感じかな。
はい、ありがとうございます。
Next up is this. Oh, is that Street Fighter?
It looks like it. There's some familiar faces there.
Let's see if it's a
This is looking really cool. So it looks like a special collaboration between Street Fighter 6 and the Monster Hunter 20th anniversary is on the way. Super excited for this and I can't wait for it.
Same. I wonder how you can hunt a street though.
Looks like you could don Rathalos gear.
Oh. And there is the
classic
Monster Hunter greatsword there.
Yeah, that's a Wyvern Jawblade. Oh, and it looks like you can take it into your Rule Tour adventures. So a little bit of a clash between worlds right here.
Nice little pun there.
And you'll be able to show it off in avatar battles with other players. Looking pretty awesome. Oh, and is that's a Rathalos photo spot. All right.
King of the Skies himself.
Yeah.
And some little Palico buddies as well.
Yeah, the Battle Hub will be proper Monster Hunter themed, and that's looking pretty awesome for any hunters and Street Fighter fans. Well, this collab is dropping in April, so be sure to watch out for further details.
The Monster Hunter Now Celebration 2024 is happening right now in Monster Hunter Now. And as part of that, hunters can receive a special hunter medal, including the main logo of the Monster Hunter series 20th anniversary by completing special anniversary-themed quests. Now, hunters, get out there and join the hunt because these quests are available until Sunday, March 24th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. in your local time.
The Hunter's Choice Top Monster was announced today, and Zinogre took the #1 spot. In celebration, the following events will be held in Monster Hunter Now. Zinogre's guaranteed appearance at Huntathon points was planned to end on Wednesday, March 13th, but it turns out it will be extended until Monday, March 25th at 11:59 p.m. local time.
But wait, there's even more. The second major update, the Vernal Invader, will go live on Thursday, March 14th, 2024. Now, prepare yourselves, hunters, and check out this recently released teaser. This major update will mark the beginning of a new in-game season with even more new additions, including monsters such as Deviljho, Odogaron, and Zitsuyaku, as well as a new weapon type, the Charge Blade. What's more, this new update will bring new features such as layered equipment and the Season Pass, great for you fashion hunters. The Season Pass will allow you to progress through tiers as you play, with different rewards such as Xenian materials available at every tier. There will even be certain layered equipment and other items that can only be acquired with the Season Pass.
In celebration of the anniversary, a layered t-shirt with the main logo of the Monster Hunter series 20th anniversary can be obtained at tier 20 of the Season Pass. In part 2 of the Monster Hunter Now Celebration 2024, you can look forward to event quests celebrating the 6-month anniversary, as well as various new rewards and perks. And if you're a Discord Premium member, you have a campaign running from March 19th, and more details will be announced at a later date. This is a great opportunity for members who've never played Monster Hunter Now to try it out, so we hope you check it out. We've got a cute version of the Monster Hunter series 20th anniversary logo, and it'll appear in Monster Hunter Now. Via a new event quest that will be introduced in late April, you'll be able to earn a layered t-shirt bearing this cute version of the Monster Hunter series 20th anniversary logo. More details will be announced at a later date.
Going forward, Monster Hunter Now will have a major update once per season. We're looking forward to bringing you more new content and improved gameplay and further updates. This summer, we're planning on adding more new monsters, including Monster Hunter Now's very first Leviathan, as well as a new weapon type and more story chapters to be unlocked. In September, Monster Hunter Now will celebrate its first anniversary. You can look forward to a major update around this time. We'll continue adding monsters, weapon types, and new features after that too, so look out for future updates and announcements. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Community Roundtable part of the Monster Hunter 20th Anniversary Show. Of course, I'm Jono, European Community Manager on Monster Hunter, and over on the opposite side there is Joe, the North American Community Manager on Monster Hunter, and today we have some very, very special guests. How about you introduce yourselves, starting with Kogath?
Hey, I'm Kogath. I'm Monster Hunter Wiki guy. You see me a lot of times on Twitter, or X, whichever you'd like to call it. Normally I'd have a camera up, but since mine's not working, I'm a ping tuber for today.
Well, I'm Vampy. I also go by Vampy Bit Me, and I've been a fan of the Monster Hunter series for quite some time now. Not as long as maybe these guys, but I love it ultimately the same, and I love making costumes of the characters, of the armor sets and everything. And I just enjoy Monster Hunter as a series as a whole. So I'm glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Rurikon, and I play the Gunlance, and I like big explosions, and that's really cool in Monster Hunter, so that's what I do. I just blow things up, and it's fun.
Amazing. Well, thanks everybody for being here. We're so glad to have all of you here for this pretty casual chat. But 20 years of Monster Hunter, we wanted to take a look back at the growth of this series. It's been an amazing run for the series. Obviously, there's a great future ahead, but we've had a pretty special relationship, I think, growing the Monster Hunter series here, both in the US and in Europe. So want to ask all of you who've played a pretty crucial role in that, what makes Monster Hunter special for each of you? Why don't we start, Kogath, with you, with your relationship with the series?
Well, I started back when I was 18. I was just hanging out at a place named GameStop, just this little video game store. We'd hang out late, play stuff like Capcom vs. SNK and stuff. There was new releases that came out, and I saw the box art, and I'm like, okay, that's a cool dragon on it. Played that for a little bit, got through Velocidrome. I was like, oh, cool. Little blue Velociraptor. Wasn't that bad, right? And I get to Kut-Ku, this pink chicken thing, and I'm like, oh, this should be easy, right? It looks weak. Destroys me. No chance. And just from that, I learned okay, I have to take this seriously. Actually put time into grinding out my gear and stuff, and it hooked me.
Debbie, how about you?
When I first started with the series, I personally was watching my little brother play. He's been playing since the beginning, and he's always pushed me, like, hey, you should play this game. And we have similar tastes, but I was never really into games that needed maybe possibly other people to play with. I was more so a player that liked my own time with maybe like hunting or whatever, so it was a little bit odd for me, but then I love the monsters, and the name itself was very interesting, Monster Hunter. so obviously you hunt monsters, right? So I tried it afterwards with 3, and it honestly got me hooked. Ultimately, it hooked me because of the dialogue. I think that's the main thing that got me in the beginning, and the monsters, but Guildmarm literally made me roll every time she talked. So I was kind of stunned that this kind of game had that kind of dialogue, and also the music. I still listen to the music to this day when I'm like just doing chores and stuff, and I just ultimately love everything about Monster Hunter. It's just so cute. Love the palicos. I love all the weapons that you can, hunt with, and also the community. Probably talk more about that later, but I made so many friends through Monster Hunter, and ultimately, like, my brother and I connect way more now because we can talk about Monster Hunter and all the other games that are out now. So it's pretty cool.
So for me, the first Monster Hunter that I tried was Monster Hunter Tribe, because I had a friend that was always talking up Monster Hunter to me. And the interesting thing is that I actually didn't like it because I couldn't understand what the point was. It's like, oh, I jump into this map, but everything is empty and I'm supposed to fight just one monster. It was kind of like a concept of a game that I had never really experienced before. So it was really weird and it didn't click. But eventually, a friend of mine, this same friend that was always talking up Monster Hunter, took me under his wing. And one of the really cool things that was very surprising for me was I got Monster Hunter Freedom Unite on the Vita, and it was compatible to do ad hoc play with the PlayStation Portable, which to me was like mind-blowing. How are we getting these two completely different consoles to work and everything just works fine? I was super surprised. But then he actually explained to me that the whole concept of, you hunt the monster and then you get its parts and you upgrade your equipment, and then you can hunt an even bigger monster, and then you get its parts and you upgrade more and you hunt even a bigger monster, and so on and so forth. And then the gameplay loop kind of clicked and I got completely addicted to it. So Monster Hunter to me is 2 things. It is the gameplay loop that it has of constantly upgrading yourself and getting to fight harder challenges, and friendship, because I've also made a ton of friends by playing Monster Hunter, including this friend of mine who got me into Monster Hunter. And then at a later time, I made friends with Gaijin and Eric's and a lot more people in the community. It was just like friggin' awesome. Just had a blast.
Yeah, I think that journey that you described, I think it's kind of like ironic too, because you've really like done that for a lot of other people, right? Of people kind of discovering the series, maybe they didn't just like click with it right away, and then over time they go over like, they learn all about it. It really starts to click with them, and then they spread the word to other people. So yeah, it's been pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, exactly. And as Vampy said, we're going to be diving into, what exactly makes the Monster Hunter community so special. But before then, I have quite arguably the most important question of the whole recording. And it kind of defines you, because in Monster Hunter, I feel that as hunters, your weapon choice binds you and, defines you amongst the community. And with 14 kind of currently existing weapons to choose from. Obviously, Rurikan, you did touch on yours there. You're a bit of a blast in the hunt. Me, Sword and Shield. Ever since Ryu, which is my first Monster Hunter, that's been my one. Like, I love it. It's my bread and butter. So let's pass that down the line. Kogath, you're up.
People know I love the Greatsword. It's just always been my main once the first game. Just seeing it evolve throughout the series has been awesome.
I kind of have to say, and I think a lot of people do know, but if you do not know, I'm a hammer main. I love my hammer. I'm kind of like Ryozo, where you see my chart. I don't know if you guys seen Ryozo's chart. I'm sure you have, or if you haven't, it's literally all hammer. And I think majority of the games when I first started was just that, the hammer. And I still love it to this day. And yeah, I love the hammer.
What drew you to it?
It's just I like the feel of the hammer. Like, there's weight to it, And when I'm hunting, I just love breaking parts, and I just love bonking the monsters on the head. It just feels good. It's a very satisfying weapon for me, so that's why I use it.
So, an interesting thing that happened to me was this one friend that got me into Monster Hunter when, he was telling me how about I had to pick a weapon. Right? And he was, you need to pick a weapon so that you get good with one weapon. And I was like, okay, well, where are the weapons that are available? He starts listing them all off, and suddenly he says Gunlance. And I was like, I want that one. And he's like, no, don't choose that. That one's bad. You don't want to play that one. I was like, no, that's the one I want. It's definitely the one I want. And the more he tried convincing me otherwise, the more I would double down. No, this is the one.
I think with a lot of us, it just kind of, whatever feels natural to each player, you know? You finally get your hands on it, and you're like, yep, this one feels right. This is what I'm going to use.
That's actually why whenever somebody jumps into a stream or something and asks me, hey, what weapon would you recommend for a newcomer? My recommendation is always, I recommend you go to the training grounds and use all of them and see which one gels with you the most, because a recommendation doesn't really matter if you're going to have to learn them.
Very true. That is very true.
It's kind of like choosing a character in a fighting game. It's like, choose the one that you think looks the coolest and then just give it a shot. See how it feels.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, each time you pick up a new weapon, it kind of feels like you're playing a different game. Like when I think about like playing Hunted Horn, which I used for my PC playthrough of like Rise of Sunbreak, it was entirely different to what I knew with the sword and shield. And also shout out to any duters out there. Whenever you join any lobbies that I'm in, I love you. I immediately love you. Your buffs, they're always greatly appreciated.
Also, when you're using a different weapon, other than what people are used to seeing you use, you find a new subset of people, and their personalities are vastly different from each other. Like the bow users. I started practicing the bow. Right? Like they start acting, they're a little bit different than the hammer, great sword, the heavy weapons, right? Like they're just like a little bit different. So I find that very interesting. Like a different set of people have a certain kind of personality, I think. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's Lance. Oh, sorry, after you, Joe.
I was gonna say, I think we always say like with people's weapon choices, it becomes like a big part of their personality, and some people it's like their entire personality, which I love it. I love to see it, so that's great.
Exactly. Lance users, they're like the chillest people you'll ever meet. You think people that are always in the front tanking monster hits are going to be some like really amped up hardcore people, but they are the most laid back folks in the community.
Yes, and they're very precise. You know, my brother is a hardcore lance user, and I'm just like, he's just like, yeah, love the lance, my weapon. But when I talk about my hammer, I'm like, I have this hammer, I'll break these parts for you. What do you need? It's just extra, you know? So it really depends.
Did I miss it, or did Joe not say his weapon?
Oh, I guess I did it. Yeah, I'm like Kogath. I'm a great sword main all the way. Yeah,
I just wanted to make
yeah, once you see those gigantic damage numbers, it's really hard to go back. It doesn't feel.
I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have any longsword mains or Hogan users. And
I'm curious now.
It's just a meme in my community that I like to make fun of it, and it's just an exaggerated meme that ended up happening.
Guys, we have to everyone check out the pages now. Everyone raid the pages and find out. Huh?
All my dark secrets will come to light.
Yes.
And like talking of that though, you raise a great point about how like within the Monster Hunter community, all the different creators groups and the sub communities, even like the Reddit page has their own jokes, and you know that's one of the things that makes the Monster Hunter community so special. And like for me, kind of coming into Monster Hunter, it was actually the content creators that taught me how to play the game back in the 3U days. You know, I had my little like my 3DS and all of that, and I didn't know how to play this game. I loved hard games. I kind of started my Devil May Cry and things like that back in the day. So I had this hunger for boss fights and hard fighting, and I heard about this game called Monster Hunter that was from Japan, and it's hard. It's the same people with Devil May Cry, and I was like, I'm gonna check that out. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had to collect stuff. I have to sharpen my weapon. You know, what do I do? And it was actually the creators that brought me in. So ever since then, I've had such a soft spot for the creators that kind of really bring the community together and help newcomers settle in. And I think that's something that makes the Monster Hunter community so special, in my opinion, is how welcoming it is, and how in some places, you know, you might see people gatekeeping, like, oh, you can't use that weapon, that's my weapon. But here, people militantly want you to play their weapon.
Yeah.
They want to tell you why their weapon is the best one and why everyone else is wrong. And that's one thing I think is really, really cool about the community. So what about you guys? What makes Monster Hunter community special to you?
Well, on that note, it's like, well, there's only one weapon that's got great in its name. Greatsword. But yeah, the community has just been something that's kept me going for, past, let's say, 10, 12 years, give or take. Because I started doing community stuff with Monster Hunter Tri. I did a couple videos, and then 3 Ultimate, I'd always make sure, oh, there's a new event quest, gotta get a video out, But when I started doing the wiki stuff, it was all about me wanting to give back to the community, wanting to help them any way I can, if it was, teaching them how to play the game or teaching them where to find stuff. And I don't know, it's just always been such to put it, just such a cooperative thing with everybody, all of us going towards the same goal and trying to help bring each other up to help, beat these big monsters.
I love that story because I relate so much. I think all of us do, especially with the community, because I was new too. So back then they would have caravans traveling, and I would go to all these caravans, and my friend brought me, and they're like, you need to meet the community. I'm like, online? They're like, no, you just meet them in person. And they would have these caravans where you can buy things like, merchandise, plushies and stuff. It'll be at Capcom. And I would go with my 3DS, and people were just talking to each other, and I was not used to that in line. And everyone was just comparing each other's monsters, favorite weapons, and it's just that energy when you're around everyone talking about the same thing. Obviously, this amazing game, Monster Hunter, right? So everything was very interesting to me because I'm like, everyone's actually really nice. And I love that. It was almost like, it was a magnet for me because I didn't have that. Especially with fighting games. I love fighting games, but there was always obviously fighting, but everyone's, like Kogoth said, everyone's working together. And I made so many friends during that caravan that I pretty much, started to hang out with them. Around the 4U days. And then it got to a point where I would be bringing my 3DS, so we would have play in our cars. And of course, it would disconnect sometimes, and that'll be the worst. We'll be playing against Crimson Fatalis or something. And if someone fought, well, I'm not there anymore, so good luck, And we would just have the funnest time laughing at each other. And it's just so fun. It's so fun, and it's actually not as serious as people make it out to be all the time. It's actually hilarious because you see everyone panicking in these moments, and you see everyone, working together and rising up. It's so awesome. Yeah.
I think that really touches up on the point, which is that the Monster Hunter community is very much a super cooperative community, which really just tries to bring more people into their game, which doesn't always happen with a lot of other video games that you have out there. And it just seems like it's one of those things where if somebody has a question, usually people don't go and start making fun of them. It's usually more like, hey, try it like this. Maybe you're doing this thing wrong. Like one really good example is, for instance, HeyJ. I don't know if you guys remember, HeyJ made his video where he said, oh, I actually don't really like this Monster Hunter Rise thing. And the community went up to his video and showered him in comments, basically saying things like, hey, maybe you should have tried it like this. Maybe you should have tried this thing. There wasn't really a negative backlash or anything like that. And I think that is one of the most perfect examples of the community getting together to kind of just celebrate the game and try to be as inclusive to newcomers as possible, even people who have a negative opinion on the game, which I was very impressed. Even though I was aware that because I had been creating content for the game, I was aware that the community is very positive, I would still expect more people to come out and be like, you don't know what you're talking about or something like that. There was almost none of that, which is almost unheard of for a lot of communities, I would say. So yeah, I was very impressed.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that comes from the series kind of having more humble beginnings in kind of the Western territories and being a phenomenon in Japan. And I feel like anybody who got their hands on it here in the US or Europe were just super, super excited about it. Just want people to understand this game is so good. You need to get it. You need to get it. And so I think like it's just created this like groundswell of everybody like wanting people to play Monster Hunter, just to try it, just to understand it, and it's really created like a community that's super positive and welcoming. So yeah, it's really great to see.
Yeah, we had all these niche little communities, and we just want more and more people to come join us, you know. Come on, come help with this Rathalos. And, oh, you need help with that monster? I'll help you out, no worries. And we just keep getting together and growing as a family.
I did so many Alatreon lobbies, it was insane. Like, for like the moment Alatreon dropped, I think for the next 3 weeks, almost every other day, I was like, okay, guys, everybody that hasn't killed Alatreon yet, let's go. Join the party. We're all coming in. It's a big Alatreon train, and we're going to kill him a bunch of times. Everybody get your materials. It was a celebration. It was that. It was for Cult to Roth, we did the same thing. For Safi Jiva, we did the same thing. So it's a ton of fun.
I agree. The Latreon was crazy because that was the wall that everyone hit. And I think everyone who was streaming at the time like worked together to figure it out. And I remember that day that it launched and I was like, I'm not sleeping. So everyone here, I'm sure you guys understand, we did not sleep until we figured it out, you know?
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And so I'll always remember that, you know, Latreon's crazy. So good point. Good point.
Thanks for that, Alatreon, as well. We appreciate you bringing the community together.
Yeah.
For the greater good. For the greater good. And well, after you, good sir. Before I know we're talking a little bit about like World and Rise, and you know, obviously like the series has reached like this global status where like a bunch of people are playing it and everybody knows about it. But let's wind it back a little bit. So I don't know if any of you guys, you know, played the first Monster Hunter on PS2 or played some of the games on PSP, and if you have, what was that first experience like? And if you haven't, are there any like monsters from that era that maybe like really connected with you?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, that's where I started, PS2. And just that first Kutku that destroyed me has stayed with me, and it's become one of my favorite monsters throughout the series. Just a, you know, goofy pink chicken monster that breathes fire. I've never seen anything like that until playing Monster Hunter. And it's been fun watching that monster evolve throughout the series as it comes in, and you know, it gets subspecies and similar species to it like Yangaruga.
Even though I didn't play the initial games, I did watch my brother get very angry and throw his controller many times. And I do remember him getting really angry about the Kutku, which I thought, like, are you serious? And he's like, yes. And I was like, okay. So, you know, you're right. Like, seeing it evolve is very interesting to me as a spectator as well. So that was very cool that you said that, because it did pique my interest a little bit, I think, back then, even though I didn't play the game. So yeah.
So I always hear about the Kutku and how it was a wall for a lot of players in Monster Hunter 1. I didn't really play Monster Hunter 1, but like I said earlier, I did play Freedom Unite with my friend.